Maybe your website's using some old technology, like Flash, for example. So let's show you an example that still use Flash. And you can see this part right here doesn't even show up anymore on most browsers, especially not on iPhone. And as my son used to say when he was around 2 or 3 years old and we tried to make him eat bananas, he would look at that and say, "That's yucky." What's up, everybody? It's Craig Lillard with The Traffic Show, where we help you grow your business by bringing it more traffic. Today, we're talking about one of my favorite subjects. We're talking about your website. We're going to talk about 10 ways your website might be dropping the ball. And here we go. We're going to count these guys up instead of down. Unlike Casey Kasem, we're counting them up instead of down. Number 1, your website might be failing you if your website is not mobile friendly. If your website does not show up in a palatable way on a mobile device, then it's not mobile friendly. And Google has been punishing people. It actually is less likely to rank well if it's not mobile friendly. Wonderfully and beautifully mobile friendly, whether it is on a desktop or on a mobile device. Number 2, your website is out of date. Now, there's a couple ways it could be out of date. It could be out of date in the way it looks. If your website looks like it's partying like it's 1999, and every time you load it up in your head, you hear like you're logging into AOL, you've got an ugly website. Your website could also be out of date because of technology it uses. Maybe your website is not capitalizing on newer technology that could help you get more customers and help you make more conversions. And maybe your website's using some old technology, like Flash, for example. So let's show you an example that still use Flash. And you can see this part right here doesn't even show up anymore on most browsers, especially not on iPhone. And as my son used to say when he was around 2 or 3 years old and we tried to make him eat bananas, he would look at that and say, "That's yucky." Flash is definitely yucky because it's not going to show up on most browsers. It's going to make your website look ugly and out of date. Number 3, your website is not focused on your primary goals. Now, when I work with somebody to develop them a new website or a redo of their website, that's the first question I ask. What are you trying to accomplish? To me, there are 3 primary goals. Are you trying to sell products? Are you trying to brand yourself? Or are you trying to get conversions? And by conversions, I mean you want somebody to call you, or you want somebody to email you or contact you in some way. And so depending on what your goals are, your website should really be structured in such a way. For instance, if you're trying to sell products, you want to get people to the products as soon as possible with as little friction in between them and your products. If you're trying to get somebody to convert, the same thing. You want to get people to your phone number, to your email form, or you want to provide other more unique ways, maybe the ability for them to schedule an appointment right then and there on the fly, so that it makes it as easy as possible with as little friction as possible so that they can do that right then and there. Number 4, your website is thin on content. If you don't have a lot of content on your website, it's not thick with content, Google can't grab onto keywords because Google wants to grab onto keywords and then rank you for those keywords. So as many keywords as possible you can have on a page, Google's going to take those and say, all right, let's rank them for this guy, let's rank them for that guy, and let's rank them for that guy, which is going to benefit you. Number 5, your website's content is low quality. So it can't just be content, it needs to be high quality content. And you're probably thinking, how does Google know whether or not my content is quality or not? Well, it's Google. They figured this out yet. And so they can look at your content and they have different ways to figure out whether or not what you wrote is good, and whether or not it makes sense, and whether or not it reads well, whether or not it has problems in punctuation or sentence structure. The better content you create, the more Google is going to say, woo, these guys are awesome. Let's rank them higher and higher and higher. Number 6, your website isn't providing value. Now, this kind of goes back to the content thing, but you want to make sure that your website is giving value to those people that come to it. Value is utterly critical, and here's why that matters, along with the quality level, is that if your website's providing value, people are going to see it, and they're going to share it, or they're going to come back to it, or they're going to like it, or they're going to post it on their social networks, and all of these things tell Google, hey, this is good stuff, let's rank this bad boy, and hiya, and give these people more traffic, and give this website more traffic. Number 7, your website's too cluttered, man. If you've been in a room that's all cluttered up, what does it do, man? It just stresses you out, it freaks you out, you can't concentrate. Clean websites provide good vibes, good vibrations, and you want good vibrations to come to the people that come and visit your website. So keep it clean, free from clutter, and focused on your main goals. Number 8, your website is too slow. Now, there's a couple ways to talk about how fast or slow your website is. There is the empirical slowness, which means you yourself go to your website, and your website loads up slowly. You feel it in your bones. My website's slow, man. I feel it deep in my heart. Or Google perceives your website as slow, and maybe when you load it up, it doesn't feel that slow, but when Google puts all their Google juju on it, they interpret it as being slow. And there are a number of different ways that Google measures that. Number 9, your branding is hurting your website. Okay, so here's a problem with branding, okay? To me, branding is like the core from which all good things exist when it comes to your business. You start with your brand, and yes, your logo is part of your brand, but it's not all your brand. But your branding is the essence of what your company is. Your idea, your mission statement, all these things are kind of this ball from which your whole business explodes from. And if your logo is yucky and was made out of clip art, somebody just went online and they just grabbed some clip art and threw it in there and there's nothing unique about it, then your website might be suffering because of that. Because I don't know about you, but when I develop a website, I take my client's logo and I start with that. And if the logo isn't ideal to work with, or if the logo is not lovely and beautiful or unique or original, it makes it more difficult to create a website that is lovely and original and beautiful and fantastical. So your branding might be hurting your website, and maybe you don't have to rebrand everything, but maybe you could get a pro designer who is an illustrator who's able to create wonderful, beautiful artwork from nothing and have them kind of go in and tweak your logo a little bit just to make your logo beautiful and artistic and lovely. So here we go, folks. This is number 10. I'm Casey Kasem. We've got a long-distance dedication from Billy the web developer in Kansas to his website hosted at a server. Number 10, your website is not user-friendly. This is almost a given. I mean, obviously, you want your website to be user-friendly. You want it to be intuitive. This is something that is rather obvious. There are a number of ways that your website may not be user-friendly, and the best way to figure that out is just simply have people use your website and then get their feedback. Another way that you can really test to see how people interact with your website is to use a tool like Crazy Egg. And what Crazy Egg does is it allows you to see a heat map of where people are going on your website and what they're doing. And you might be very amazed, if you're really using that tool well, to figure out just a simple button change could massively change how people are interacting with your website. Make sure you've got analytics installed in your website. It's free from Google. You need that to know what's going on with your website. If you got any problems, if people are leaving, if they're not showing up, if they don't like something, that tool will help you know that. It'll help you figure out whether or not your website is doing what you want it to do or not. All right, everybody, thanks so much for watching this video. If you liked the video, please share it or like it or put a comment or a question. I'd love to answer any of your questions. That would be amazing. Quest below and give me the opportunity to address any questions that you have. This is the Traffic Show, brought to you by Trafficality. And keep the traffic flowing, and I'll talk to you soon.